All right, let's get into it. Today, we're tackling the very last word in Shakespeare's entire sonnet sequence, Sonnet 154. It's this strange, beautiful, fable-like poem that honestly packs a powerful final punch on the nature of love. Before we break it all down, let's just hear it. The little love god lying once asleep, laid by his side his heart-inflaming brand, whilst many nymphs that vowed chaste life to keep came tripping by. But in her maiden hand the fairest votary took up that fire which many legions of true hearts had warmed, and so the general of hot desire was, sleeping, by a virgin hand disarmed. This brand she quenched in a cool well by, which from love's fire took heat perpetual, growing a bath and healthful remedy for men diseased. But I, my mistress's thrall, came there for cure, and this by that I prove. Love's fire heats water. Water cools not love. Okay, so after 153 poems jam-packed with personal drama, passion, and pain, Shakespeare ends with this cool, detached, little classical myth. So what is the actual story being told here? The story itself is actually pretty simple and elegant. It happens in 4 quick steps. First, Cupid, the god of love himself, is taking a nap. Second, a nymph, one who has sworn a vow of chastity, sneaks up and steals his fiery torch. Third, she dunks that torch into a nearby well, and boom, it instantly becomes a permanent hot spring. And fourth, this new spa is now a, quote, healthful remedy, a cure for men diseased, and we can probably guess that means men who are sick with love. But you know this, with Shakespeare, the real magic is always in the details. It's the specific words he picks to build this entire myth up, only to then completely shatter it with his own personal reality. Let's look at a few of these key words. So he doesn't just call her a nymph or a maiden. He says she's the fairest votary. A votary is someone who has taken a sacred vow. In this case, it's a vow of chastity. So the person who disarms the god of love is his complete conceptual opposite. It's this amazing act of sacred suppression. And check out how he describes Cupid. He calls him the general of hot desire. I mean, come on. This isn't some chubby little baby with a bow and arrow. No, this is a military commander, the leader of a vast army of longing. It makes love feel like this overwhelming, organized force, which of course makes him being disarmed by one single virgin hand so much more dramatic. And then, after all this epic myth-making, the speaker just crashes into the poem. But I, my mistress's thrall. A thrall. A thrall is a slave. That is such an incredibly intense word, suggesting total, absolute servitude. And if you've read the Dark Lady sonnets that come before this word just lands with the full weight of that whole tortured relationship. He's literally enslaved by his mistress. And that shift brings us right to the final couplet, which delivers the final word for the entire 154 sonnet collection. And what's wild is that it's presented not as some big emotional outburst, but almost like a mathematical proof, a theorem. Love's fire heats water, water cools not love. Just let that sink in. After all the passion, the jealousy, the hope, the despair of the whole sequence, the final conclusion isn't a feeling. It's an axiom. This is the unshakable truth he's finally landed on. Now, what's really brilliant about this line is that it's a perfect paradox in a structure called a chiasmus. Fire heats water, but water doesn't cool love. It tells us that love's power is a one-way street. It is so powerful it can permanently change the physical world. It can turn a cold well into a hot spring forever. But the physical world, it has zero power to change love. The speaker went to this magic healing spa for a cure, and it didn't work. The cure fails. So this brings us to the big, crucial question. Why end here? Why would Shakespeare wrap up this incredibly personal, often agonizing collection of poems with a detached little fable that basically just proves that love is incurable? It's a question that, believe me, scholars have been debating for centuries. Well, there are basically 3 main theories out there. One is that it's a kind of graceful bow, a way to step back from all that raw emotion and end in a more formal, literary style. 2, it might not have even been Shakespeare's choice. The publisher back in 1609 could have just decided to tack these last 2 sonnets on the end. Or 3, and this is the one I personally find the most compelling, it's a functional summation. It's the speaker's last-ditch effort to make sense of his suffering by framing his incurable lovesickness as a timeless, universal, mythical truth. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. The entire collection ends not with an answer, not with a resolution, but with this elegant, inescapable paradox. Is that a satisfying ending to the speaker's journey? After everything with the fair youth and the dark lady? I mean, what does it really mean for love to be this unquenchable fire? A force that changes the world around it but can never be changed itself? That's the puzzle Shakespeare leaves us with. Thanks for digging into it with me.